to the Donkey Vote Political Podcast for another interview, and we're doing a second recording here with Wayne Farnham because our first interview was so good we want to do a second one. So
the first one stuffed up.
That's true. So Wayne, thank you for come back on the podcast and joining us again.
No worries, boys. Let's get stuck into it.
Yeah. So just for our audience out there again who may not know you, Wayne, could you give us a little brief description of yourself before we start?
Sure. My name's Wayne Farnham. I'm the member for Narracamp, which is down in the West Gippsland region of Warragul and Drouin and surrounding areas. It's a big electorate. It's about 4,500 square kilometres. All your water comes from where I represent. The Thompson Dams in my electorate, Mount Baw, Walhalla. That's been in the news lately. We all love Walhalla.
Yeah.
Then it goes down to Coralline to the south, and from Narnagoon to Traff East, sort of east to west. So so that's where my patch is.
A good patch of Victoria for sure.
It's the best part of Victoria. I've got the best electorate. Don't worry about that.
Debatable, maybe.
No debate.
All right, then we'll get stuck into our questions, just seeing as it's a busy parliamentary day, I know, and you got stuff to do, Wayne. So we'll go on for our first question. So how was your high school and university life, and do you have any memorable moments? I do remember your answer from here, but if you could enlighten us again with your brilliant answer, that would be awesome.
My high school and university life. Well, I failed year 9 and I failed year 10. That was at Marasan in Warragul. Then I went to the Warragul Tech School, and in year 11, because they gave me the choice in year 10 at Marasan, they said you can repeat year 10 or you can go and do year 11 at Tech. And I actually said, I'll repeat year 10, and they said, no, you'll go to Tech and do year 11. So it's fair to say I wasn't the best student, but so never made it to university, obviously. And from there, I went into fitting and turning apprenticeship, and then I ended up in building. Now, your second question was, what was my most memorable moment?
Yeah.
At school.
Could you?
I don't know if there's too many I can say on a podcast. Most memorable. Schools. I hated it. I just hated school.
Any sort of interactions with your teachers that
Yeah,
you remember?
I will tell you a funny story. This was a very funny story. I had this ceramics teacher in year 9, and I didn't like him one bit, and he didn't like me at all. And so anyway, I never turned up to his class, and for nearly the whole year, I think I went there twice. And the second time I turned up, he lost it. And he couldn't do it today, but back then he grabbed me and he told me up and he slammed me against the lockers. Where have you been? And I was being a bit of a smart ass. And then he turned around and said to me, he said, you will never amount to anything in your life. So, stuff you. Look where I am.
You might be watching the podcast right now.
Well, he may be. I won't mention his name, but get stuffed. So, yeah, that was probably one of my most memorable moments.
Yeah, and I think that kind of does show that, development of as human beings, it doesn't always happen straight away in your teenage years, and, finding your passion and finding what you're passionate about later on down the line is always, a good way to see where you end up and that sort of thing.
Well, that's a really good point too. And there could be a lot of people watching your podcast in the same boat, but my advice to anyone, especially, the amount of pressure that gets put on kids in year 11 or 12 to do well, to get their ATR to go to university. I always say education is important. It wasn't for me, but my message to these kids would be, if you don't get the right ATAR or you don't get into the course you really wanted, this isn't the end of the world for you. There's a lot of things out there you can do, providing you're passionate about what you want to do. Now, I'm so lucky to be in this role, because I was in building since 1989, and I'd had a guts full of building. I was over it. The industry used to be good; it's crap now. But I've found this what I'm doing now. I love it. It is the best job I reckon I've ever had.
Maybe the most demanding.
it's very demanding. There's no worries about that. And most MPs, I'd say nearly all MPs, and I work very hard. I know the public, because I used to be in the public 12 months ago. We go, oh, you know, politicians, you just sit there, you do this, you do that. It's actually not true. But I would say most MPs in this place work extremely hard for their communities, and that's what you have to do. But to do this job, because you cop a lot of crap, like you got to have pretty thick skin, but your passion for your community has to override the criticism you get. Otherwise, if you don't have that passion, you're not going to survive in this job. Because you cop a lot of crap all the time.
Exactly.
So.
The media is always out there too.
Oh yes, the media love us.
They'll find any little thing that.
Oh look, I'll probably watch this podcast and say something. Who knows?
They'll probably write a little article saying Wayne Farnham, the failed year 10, year 9, year 10 student, or they'll say something about you and your ceramics teacher in year 9.
Probably, and I kind of don't care. Like the media will have their opinions. So they got a job.
I think that's the sort of mindset you need to have, especially in this sort of job. You know, there's a lot of external pressure from media and that sort of thing, but you should be able to block it out and just focus on doing your best for the community.
Well, that's your job.
Yeah.
So just do your job. Right. What's your next one? Bring it on.
How were your experiences as a construction art owner?
Yeah, look, I did love the construction industry for a lot of years. You build really good friendships in construction, or you used to. It's changed a lot now. It's quite litigious now compared to what it used to be sort of 20 years ago. I've made lifelong friends through construction, and obviously, I have a lot of friends in the construction industry because I was in it for so long, and I did quite a lot of diverse projects. Like I've built hospitals and schools and police stations and big domestic projects.
Yeah, I think you also said before you did build a special school.
Yeah, that's right. My most rewarding project was definitely Warragul Specialist School. To see that project, and this is part of the passion, I suppose. That project, you saw, the most disadvantaged in our community get a better quality of life because of this new building. That without a doubt is the #1 project I ever did. And I've done a lot of projects, but that to me always sticks in my mind. And I can tell you a funny story. Steve Brax came down, the Premier at the time, and I was nudging these little kids, and I said, hey, if he asks you what you want, tell him you want a PlayStation. So Steve Brax was walking along, and he inevitably turned around and said to the kids, oh, what do you need? And this little kid says, I want a PlayStation. And then the next, and he laughed, and he said to the next kid, what do you want? He goes, the games. So it was really good. It was a really good project. And Lynn Koski was the education minister at the time, and she did the actual opening, and she cried because what happened on that project was all the subbies that worked on the project put back in and bought a ride-on mower, whippersnipper and a lawnmower. And we presented them to the school because they had no money left after it was finished. And Lynn, I'll never forget Lynn Koski, she burst into tears. She said, I've never seen a community do that. And that's the importance of having local builders or local contractors do local work, because they'll give it back tenfold. That's why I say I've got the best electorate in Victoria by a mile.
You're starting to change my opinion now on your electorate.
My electorate's bloody good, don't worry about that.
Yeah.
If you want a second opinion, ask me twice.
And I think as well, especially, since you're the member of America, now you spend a lot of time going out to probably that Warragul Special School and seeing the kids then, remembering that was the project that you helped build at that time. It's probably pretty special now, actually being the local member of the area.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things in building. When you build something, it's generally there for a lifetime, or at least your lifetime. So you drive around and you go, yeah, I've done this, I've done that, but I always drive past the special school. I go, yeah, no, that's the best job ever. So, but I've been back there a few times, and yeah, I love the place.
Yeah, and
the staff are brilliant. You never get better staff than you will in a special school. Different level of teaching, but the staff there are great, and the kids are fantastic.
Yeah, and we all know that there's special schools are so important, especially for a lot of people with disabilities. I know Tobias can speak a little bit more about it as well, but I think they are very, very important. They really, really help those sort of if we really do that, who really do need that extra sort of assistance.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, because they need extra support in certain areas. Like for me, I needed a computer during high school, which I didn't get until the very end, which was unlucky for me, but I had to deal with it.
Yeah.
And those special schools at least give those sort of kids those opportunities and those sort of ways for them to learn in their best environment.
Yeah, and there's another part to it too, and I think people probably forget this side of it as well. Some of these kids just can't be in mainstream education, and then that's hard on the teacher in mainstream education. To they might have 20, 25 kids in a class, but when you've got this one child that has challenges, you got the teacher focusing on that child, yet there's another 24 kids that are sort of missing out. So specialist schools are really, really important in our whole education environment, because not only do they help the kids with disability, but they also take the pressure off the mainstream system so they can focus on the other kids as well. So it's not for everyone, obviously, but I see it as a very, very important part of our education system.
100% agree with you there. So we'll move on to our third question now, George.
Go on, George, lay it on.
Who do you say is a political role model or idol?
Yeah, you asked me this last time, and I'm going to say our previous local member, Gary Blackwood. Gary served for 16 years as a member for Narracam, and every day he went out and tried his best for our community. And the one thing Gary said to me coming into this job, he said the number one skill you need is listening. You got to listen to your community and listen to people and find out what their problems are. So I think Gary Blackwood, for me, he's my political role model. I mean, a lot of Liberals might say John Howard or Robert Menzies, and Labor will probably say Bob Hawke and Gough Whitlam and all those types of things. But for me, it was actually our local member. He's definitely who I try to, if I can do half good as job as what Gary Blackwood did, then that will be good. But I'd like to think I can do better. So I'll try to do better.
Always try and do better than your previous member and try and do the best for you.
Yeah, well, he was really popular, Gary. You might want to flick that bottom button over there so that light goes back on. The second bottom button.
Oh, this one?
Yep. Flick that. There you go.
Oh, okay.
No, Gary was a very good member. Was for a lot. 16 years is a long time in this place. So
yeah, holding your seat for 16 years is pretty hard to do.
Good effort.
Yeah. And are you still in contact a lot with Gary as well?
Gary's left the building, mate. He's got the four-wheel drive the caravan. He's pissed off. He's gone, I'm out of here. No, look, I catch up with him every now and again, but he's enjoying retirement and thoroughly well deserved.
Haven't really asked him much for pointers or.
He gives me advice even if I don't want it. He'll give it to me. But no, I do. If I've got an issue, I'll ring him up and say, how do I deal with this, or who do I talk to here? So yeah, no, he's been a very good support, and was ever since I was a candidate. He was probably, I'd say honestly, initially, he probably thought, it's a bit rough around the edges, this bloke, but we'll see how he goes.
We have to work with him. We have to try and see what he does. Yeah.
See if we can smooth him off a bit, but no, he's. Yeah,
I don't know if that's worked very well.
Hey?
I don't know if has his smoothing off strategy worked well or.
Oh, a little bit, a little bit. I'm probably still. The tradie comes out of me every now and again. I can't help that. That's who I am, and this job, if you pretend to be something you're not, the people are going to see through it. So.
Exactly. So might as well be honest and be yourself.
Yeah, be yourself. God, too many fake people out there. You don't need more of them.
Exactly. We'll move on now to our fourth question. So, could you talk about your experiences supporting local sporting clubs, charities, and community organisations, especially the free fee women's self-defence classes you started to run?
Yeah, sure. Oh, geez, you boys have done well. Yeah, look, I've always been involved in clubs. I coached netball at two clubs, Warragul Industrials and Milner Darwin. played football for Bullabul and Allenbank and Warragul Industrials. Coached junior football. I coached Warragul under 15s, I think, in the day. But the women's self-defence classes, me and a mate, Stewie Brock, who owns First National in Warragul, him and Carmen own that. He came to me one day and said, "Oh, we want to do free self-defence classes." So we both put in $5,000 each, I think. Oh. And so women, it was on a Sunday morning, so women could go there and learn self-defence and protect themselves, like to learn the basics, because you know there's a fair few arseholes out there. So
the trading coming out a little
bit.
Yeah,
the trading comes out, but it's important, I think, that women learn to defend themselves, because you know we've seen terrible things happen to women walking home at night.
Exactly.
And I think it's important. Actually, it's important that everyone should learn a bit of self-defence, not just women as well, but everyone should know a little bit of self-defence. But that was very rewarding. It was a good project, that one.
Yeah, and I think especially women in general probably are, as we know in society, are more susceptible to attacks from people, sadly. So I think it's important that, you know...
It's shocking.
It really is.
I hate it. One thing I'd say to women, if you're walking, don't put your bloody earpods in. So you can hear, these earpods, they block out so much noise, and I think that's what happens a lot of the time is they'll target a woman that's wearing earpods or whatever.
Or headphones.
Or if you're walking, take them out, sing, do whatever you want, but hear what's going on around you. Be aware. Awareness is very important.
Exactly, because, you know, an opportunistic predator in that situation will, you know, take the opportunity.
Yeah.
Sadly, those people do exist, but...
Yeah, it's an unfortunate part of our society. But, you know, I don't know if we can ever stop it all, but if women learn a bit of self-defence, that'd be good. Yeah. Even if it's a good hard kick, something. So...
Exactly. And are those fee-free classes still going on in
Warragul?
Or?
Unfortunately, it shut down through COVID, and it didn't get back up and going again. I mean, if they wanted to get it back up and going again and reached out to me, I'd definitely support it again. I thought it was...
That's really for you people in Warragul to organise.
Yeah, get it done. Give me a ring. I'll put some money into it.
That'll be a good project, I think, to bring back again, you know, especially...
I think so.
You know, with crime on the rise right now, I think it's important that, you know, that sort of thing is...
Home invasions and all that stuff, that's getting out of control. It's even, we had a couple down our way last week too.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, I think there was 5 in Brighton last week. It's getting...
Yeah.
Lock your doors, everyone.
Yeah, be safe, you know. So those sort of fee-free classes could be really, really important for your community, especially. And, you know, other communities out there could follow suit, and, you know, it doesn't have to just specifically be Warragul, you know. It was Wayne's idea.
Yeah, I'll take credit for it. But if anyone's out there watching this in your community, let's try and get it up and going. It's a good thing.
Yeah, a really, really good thing. We'll move on now to our next question. Tobias.
What made you run in the 2022 state election for the Liberal Party?
Yeah, good question. I wish it had happened in 2022, but it didn't happen until 2023.
A different sort
supplementary.
Of yeah.
Again, I'm going to reference Gary Blackwood again. Gary was a very good member. And when you become a member of a party other than just, you know, looking at politics on the television, you sort of get a bit more of a behind the scenes of what MPs do. And I was pretty inspired by what Gary had done. I knew he always worked for the community. And it came back to what I said earlier. It's the only reason you do this job is you're passionate about your community, because if you're doing it for ego, or if you're doing it because you like to see your face on a poster, or
you like hearing yourself talk.
Well, I like hearing yourself talk, or you want to be on television, you're doing it for all the wrong reasons. You know, some of the best MPs, you'll never see them in the media. You know, they're just head down, bum up, doing their job. So it really does come down for me. It's that passion for the community and want to make a difference. And there's different things. Like, we'll always advocate for the big infrastructure stuff. You know, new hospitals, new schools, better roads. That's that's something you do every day. But it's when you make a difference to an individual, to me, that's actually the most rewarding. It could be someone that's been waiting 3 years for a new knee, and you reach out to the minister and go, this isn't fair. He's been waiting 3 years and whatever, and then things start to happen, and that to me is more important, because you've made the quality of life for that person better, and that's really rewarding. And the big infrastructure stuff, if I advocate to a minister and I get an intersection fixed, or I get funding for something, that's rewarding as well. But it's the smaller stuff I find most rewarding. It's really good when you can do that.
Yeah, and you actually see, the effort you put in, you seeing the rewards, especially, local people within your area,
Well, for me, it's not, you see the reward, but doesn't come back to me. It's actually, you just see that person, they now can, with a new knee, they can get walking again and get out and get active, you made their quality of life better.
We'll stop the recording quickly and then
Sorry about that, folks. We just
it was Joe cracking at the door, such a larrikin.
No, it's a good fella, Joe. Right, next question.
All right. So now coming up to our second last question, George.
Go on, George.
How
Make
is,
it a tough one.
Yeah.
how is it being a part of the local sporting clubs in Narrabeen, especially playing for?
We just did that one, George. Go to the next one.
All right. I mean, could you talk a little bit more about your local sporting clubs? Like, as you said, you did touch on coaching the netball team.
Oh yeah, sure.
And playing for Bulburn and Dusties and Ellabank. Bullen.
Yeah, I messed up last time, so I remember.
Yeah, well, look, I started playing footy like most kids of my generation when I was about 6 or 7 years old, and I played my juniors at actually VRI Colts, and then I went to Bullen. Came runner-up in one premiership and won one in 1987.
Still remember the grand final?
Yep, I certainly do. Remember both grand finals. I remember the losing one and the winning one. There was nothing better than winning the grand final. I haven't won one since in football. And then I went and played then I went out to Dusty's, because me and my brother played together. He went to Dusty's, so I went with him. Then I went to Allenbank, and then I finished at Dusty's in my football career. But I played a lot of netball. It was a sport I was actually pretty good at. I ended up playing state league all men's netball for Knox City. So I played for them. That was in the early 90s. I was probably about 50 kilos lighter than I am now. But I love netball. It was great sport, just love it. And then from there, I went into coaching netball and coached A grade both at Dusty's and Milmadana. Didn't win a final. We came close in a prelim, but didn't win there. But it's sport's really important. It's important for your mental health. It's important for your fitness and just your general health. So I think everybody should try and do a sport. As I sit here with my extra 20 kilos that I've got on me now, but no, it's good. And local community stuff's great. Like even when I was playing footy and the kids were little, take the kids to the footy and give them a bucket of chips and they'll run around, they're covered in mud and crap, and you get them home and put them in the shower and life goes on. But no, it's a very, very good community environment around sporting clubs. So it's I'd encourage everyone to try and get involved in a club if you can.
Yeah, and I think in general, even in country Victoria, more rural Victoria, sporting clubs are the centre of the whole town, especially,
They are.
in Warragul and all the surrounding areas of the great electorate of Narrabeen.
Yeah, I've got a lot of football clubs in my electorate. I couldn't tell you how many off the top of my head, but there's a lot. So and you're right, in the smaller communities, they're really important, because that's your social Saturday. Everyone's out and they play footy, and they might stay there for dinner that night or have a beer or whatever. It's really important in regional Victoria, sporting clubs, football, cricket clubs, tennis clubs, the whole thing. So I wasn't much good at tennis. I played that once. I wasn't as good as Sam Groth, obviously.
You would play them again?
Hey?
You played him currently now, or
No, I'll tell you a funny story though about Grothy. He's gonna hate me for saying this.
he could be. He could be. I
No.
mean,
Look, Grothy's one of those. He makes you sick, right? He's just one of those natural sports people. No matter what he does, he's going to be good at it. But I invited him to Warrigal to play golf this day because I play golf as well. I was captain of the Warrigal Country Club, golf club. And anyway, so Grothy comes over to have a hit. Now he hits off 3, I hit off about 15. And coming up the last hole, I was 1 shot behind him. Anyway, I completely stuffed the last hole up and he beat me by 4 shots. But I said to him, if I had beaten you, I was never playing you in golf again because then he could never beat me again. So, but yeah, it was very funny. And he was worried. The big man, he was scared. I can say, I saw Sam Gross scared on a
he
golf
might be watching
course.
this again.
Well, I hope he does. And Grothy, he was scared. You have to admit it. But
I mean, down the line if we interview Sam, that could be a good question to ask him.
Yeah.
Look,
he'll just brush it off. He'll just go, I knew I was going to beat him. But the bloke hits a long golf ball, I can tell you. Oh my goodness. And then
I mean, he's 6'5", so
he's a big unit.
he's a big unit.
Yeah, don't worry about that. You ever seen him walk though? It looks like he's just hopped off a horse.
Yeah, I think when we came to Parliament last year, I was watching him walk down the, just walk down the halls.
Yeah.
I think he got kicked out of Parliament early, and he was just walking down. He got kicked out of question time. I saw him walking down here, and just his strides are massive.
He's a big unit. There's no doubt about that. Good bloke, Grothy.
I feel like this is turning more into a Sam Groth interview now, not a Wayne Farnham interview.
No. Grothy's a good mate, but he's a big lad. So
yeah,
but nearly beat him. Nearly. Try and get him next time.
Yeah, invite him back to the country club, see what happens.
Nah, stuff him.
You got to find a sport that you're better than Grothy at. Lawn bowls?
Probably not. He will just, whatever he does, some people are just naturally good at sport, and I think Sam's one of those people. So he's good at football, tennis, golf. It just makes you sick. But anyway,
we can't wait to that.
We'll move on from Grothy. He's got a big enough head as it is.
Exactly. We'll move on now to our final question. So, what's one piece of advice you'd give to students who in 2024, especially those who are starting university or high school?
Oh, geez, I nearly covered that at the start of the interview, but I'll say it again. Life does not end if you don't get the perfect score. Your first job will more than likely not be your last job. You will have career changes. We all do. I only had 2 career changes in my lifetime. That was fitting, turning to building, and then building to, obviously, Parliament. But I do feel really sorry for kids in university and year 11 and 12 because there seems to be so much pressure on them all the time to do well and to get the perfect job and to do this and to do that. My thing is study hard. Education is important. Find something you're passionate about. When you're passionate about something, it doesn't feel like you're going to work. When you're not passionate about it, you wake up and you go, oh, God, I've got to go to work. Like, I love this job. I get up at 5 a.m. every day because I actually can't wait to start reading or checking the emails and getting into work and going. So my biggest advice is to the younger generation is don't stress about life. It will take twists and turns all the way. You'll fall in love, then you'll fall out of love, you'll get married, you'll probably get divorced, or at least half of you will. I've been divorced, don't worry about it. But life goes on. Find something you're passionate about. If you're passionate about something, you'll do well, and work hard. I mean, so many people sit back and criticise someone. They go, oh, look what they've got, look what they've got. Well, they've only got that because they worked hard. But when you're passionate about it, it's not hard work.
Exactly.
And that's the difference. You find something you're passionate about, you'll work hard. You just naturally will.
Yeah, it's not a chore anymore.
Nah. So, dude, that's my advice. And, enjoy life.
Yeah, and, don't be so, I guess, so focused on trying to figure out something so early on, like in your late teens or early 20s, because, you could find your passions later on in life.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I was passionate about building, lost that in the last 10 years of building probably. Now I'm really passionate about this job. If I lose the passion for this job, I will walk away, because in this job, unfortunately, if you lose passion for it, there's too much at risk. You know, you're representing 60,000 people, so you have to be passionate about this job. But I think you'll find you'll go through life and it's a fair chance. This is what life's like. The friends you had at high school, you'll be lucky to have one of those friends when you're over 40. The friends that you have in uni, you might have 3 of those by the time you're over 50. So there's people for seasons, there's people for reasons, and things change. But just find something you're really passionate about and work hard and enjoy life. Life can be short.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
Enjoy every moment of life, because you never know when your time will come. So enjoy every moment you are here.
Yep, and be kind to your mother. Someone used to say that. Who was that? Be kind to your mother. Can't remember who said it.
Me either. Can you remember it?
You kids probably didn't bloody hear it. But no,
back in the 1940s or something.
Not that bloody old. I was born in 1970, you donkey. Well, it is the donkey podcast.
Yeah.
1940. Even Kim Wells was born in 1900, I think. I'm not quite sure.
Oh, we did interview Kim Wells. That was a funny interview.
That was one funny one.
Yeah.
He would have been an interesting human being to interview. Yeah. Who's been your best interview besides me?
Best
well, I mean, of course, Wayne, you're going to be, in the lower to middle tier.
I didn't expect I'd be up.
No, of course you're up. No, I'm joking. You're on top. You're
Come, who was the hardest one to interview? Be honest.
The hardest.
Oh, I think.
Yeah, there's probably some Labor MPs.
Yeah.
I don't want to say names.
No.
We can say it off camera, but there was some that were, I'd say, a bit more. They weren't as open to talk about things. They were just very closed off.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah, I think because a lot of people, some of them are pretty,
Have you interviewed Grothy yet?
No, I actually haven't.
Well,
We got to get Grothy on. We got to get Grothy on.
He'll be entertaining.
Will he?
Oh, yeah.
Even more entertaining than you, Wayne. That could be hard to beat.
Oh, yeah, probably. He'll talk himself up.
Oh, okay.
He keeps saying that. Every time, I still hold the record for the fastest serve. Chris Creeth would interview him. He goes, "Oh, I used to be in federal parliament."
Yeah, and he's talking about his whole
I think
law career as well.
Oh, yeah.
I think
Yeah.
Chris, that one,
We did Chris.
Yeah. Chris is a good bloke.
Chris is a good bloke, yeah.
Joe McCracken. Have you interviewed
Yeah.
Joe?
Yeah,
yet?
of course. We might even have a second interview with Joe McCracken at this rate.
You should interview me and Joe together. That'd be fun. He's a good man, Joe.
We had Joe and Renee together, so
Did you?
yeah.
Upper house.
Upper house people, yeah.
All right.
But
Well,
yeah.
have fun.
Yeah, all right. That's all our questions
That's
for you,
it.
Wayne. Thank you for joining us again, and I know we did do this interview previously, but it's great to be back in Parliament again and be here with you and having this sit-down interview. We really appreciate it.
It's great. Thanks for coming in, boys. Have fun.
Yeah.